Oh, hey guys, it's me, Dax Moy from Personal Training Success Academy, Fitness Marketing Made Simple, and God knows, a whole host of other sites that you probably already know about. I'm just here today with a short message to talk to you a little bit about an event that I'm really excited about for next year, and this is the FEB, the Fitness Entrepreneurial Bootcamp, in its third year, that I'm going to be hosting along with my good friend, and he really is my good friend, John Latoc. This is going to be in May next year, and it's going to be quite a big thing. Now, if you've been to any of the previous FEBs, you'll know that there's a tendency to cover a lot of material. There's a hell of a lot of really good stuff that gets shared by some really amazing people. People that have done really well for themselves in their career, have made a real difference to both the industry, to their own clients, and obviously to themselves as well. We generally tend to have speakers that are making quite a lot of money from doing some really, really great work. And that's been the theme of FEB since it started, which is really to, I guess, cut through the bullshit and cut through all of the fluff and the padding that normally gets associated with fitness marketing events, and instead just really get down to the nitty-gritty, the bare bones of what makes fitness marketing work. And as a speaker at both of the events so far, I've got to say, I've been really, really pleased with the direction that it's gone in up to now. People have come away with a hell of a lot of really great information about how to go ahead and build amazing businesses. Now, there are some downsides too, and these downsides include the idea that often for some people there's a hell of a lot of overwhelm associated with going not just on FEB but for any fitness marketing event, and I think that FEB does a pretty good job of it, right? But most fitness marketing events look something like this. Speaker comes on, get you all rah-rahed up, get you all G'd up, excited, you sit there with a notebook, take reams and reams and reams of notes and say, God, I've got to do some of that. There's a little break, the next speaker comes on, the next speaker gets you all rah-rahed up, all G'd up, you go, reams and reams of notes, God, I've got to do some of that. Before you know it, you've got an absolutely ram-packed full notepad of all the stuff you could do. Okay, all the stuff you could do, and usually on the Sunday night of these events, because usually they're Friday, Saturday, Sunday kind of things. On the Sunday night of these events, you're sitting on the train going home, and you're thinking about, wow, everything's going to change for me from this point forward. And then Monday comes around, and you go, oh my God, where do I start? Tuesday comes around, and you think, crap, there's a hell of a lot of stuff to do there. By the time you get to the weekend, very few things have changed. And in fact, rather than setting you up to succeed, a lot of events generally have the tendency to actually set you up to fail, because if you were overwhelmed before, you're sure as hell overwhelmed now. I mean, since when was the cure for being overwhelmed in the first place, feeling like you've got too much to do? Since when was the cure for that to go ahead and go and find more things for you to do? Okay, and this is the danger with most fitness marketing events, is that instead of it feeling like you've got some manageable tasks that you can crack on with, you get so excited in the short term, but so let down in the mid to long term when you actually realise, oh my God, I just don't have the time to implement any of this. And I'm certain, as great as the previous FEB events have been, and I know they've been great, like I said, I've been the speaker at both of them, as great as those have been, I'm certain that there are a lot of people that attended them that came away with exactly that feeling that, oh, this is all so great, but I don't really feel like I've got the time to do this, I'm not really sure where to start, and all the rest of it. So this year, we've decided, John and I, to do something really drastically different in the whole FEB setup. And it's really, really simple. It's based around this idea that we don't want an audience. Okay, we're not looking for an audience. We're not looking for people to sit there, kind of listen, take notes, clap at the speakers when it's all over and done with, and go away and be frustrated after the event. What we want is action takers. So the entire FEB format has been built around the idea that we want people that are literally going to attend with the idea of taking action, with a mindset about speed of implementation, which is why we've got some great ideas that involve you actually taking action during the event, so that certain changes may have been made to your website, for example, certain changes may have been made to your copy. You will leave the event on the Sunday knowing that you've already taken action, which is going to be fantastic, okay? So we want action at the event, we want action takers, we want people that are really into speed of implementation. We're also looking at ease of implementation. It's all great, thinking about these massive ideas and what you could do and all these things that are opportunities for you. But the reality is that some of these things are really difficult to put into place. So John and I have conspired together to actually make sure that by the time you get to the end of the event, not only do you know what to do, but we've given it to you in bite-sized formats of do this, then do this, then do this, then do this, okay? A nice, simple, straightforward format that makes the achievement of your business goals possible. In much the same way as you don't take on a client from day one and stick them under a 100-kilo bar and say, hey, squat that and lift that and clean that and bench press that. You don't do that, do you? You start them off in nice, gentle steps, and over time, before you know it, you've got a very strong client. But we want to do the same with your business. We want to start you out from baby steps. We want to start you out with very, very lightweight, so to speak, and gradually get you stronger and stronger and stronger. But we want to make the whole process quite easy for you. We want to make it that it feels to you that it's very manageable and it's something that you can get up every day and take action on, rather than this big kind of rah-rah session of one big hit and then, oh crap, I'm stuck again. Okay? So, because look, at the end of the day, there's a hell of a lot of crap around these ideas about implementation. Somebody just comes along with a huge ring binder for you with 1,000 things that you could do and 100 of them saying that you should do and you should really do right now. Like, if you're not doing these, you're an idiot. Here, take these and go and apply them to your life. Well, that's kind of easy for any of us to say. Okay, what's much more complex is making sure that you've got a very, very simple system of doing that. Okay, so think about that. Is that a paradox? It's complex to make things simple. We're going to actually take care of all the complexity for you by making the entire process of building your business off the back of FEB much, much more simple. Okay, so you know what we're going to do. What we're going to make sure is that by the time you leave, you have a simple, straightforward, step-by-step journey to follow. Blueprints, if you will, okay? What we're looking at is giving you out exact blueprints. All you've got to do is hold the blueprint in your hand. Step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. Step 3, do this. And that's all it'll be. And again, some of these things will be done during the event itself. You won't even have to wait to leave. Now, I guess most fitness marketing events are something like this. I think of them as blog posts. I think of them as most marketing events being like visiting a blog. Now, if you visit a really good blog, hopefully most of the posts are on a similar topic, okay? But that said, they can be quite disjointed as well. So you've got, you know, you might have something to do with fat loss here, but then the next article you read from the same author has gone off on a different tangent, and the next article has gone off on a different tangent, and so on and so forth. This is what a lot of fitness marketing events are like. Okay, so you've got numerous speakers that come on board, and they've all got their own spin on things, and they've all got their own ideas. But worse still, sometimes the speakers at events actually have completely opposing ideas. I know myself, I've gone on stage immediately after someone who's been saying something exactly opposite to what I'm about to say, and I know that sometimes that the person coming on immediately after me is going to be saying the exact opposite to what I've said. Okay, so think about what this does for the audience in these situations. Think about what this does for you, right? You're sitting there and you hold each of the speakers in high regard, but they're each telling you to do something different. It gets very, very confusing, doesn't it? And this is why I say it's a bit like a blog post effect. All of these random posts that just generally tend to get thrown out there when these events go on. So again, what John and I have done with this particular FEB this time round is we've made it much more like a story. Okay, the whole event is like a story. And the best way I could describe it is, imagine if you picked up a book. If you went into a bookstore, you wouldn't expect to open a book and have every chapter just kind of willy-nilly thrown in there with random stuff all over the place and hope that by the end of getting to that book that you've got some sense to be made of it, right? You don't expect that to happen. What do you expect? You expect to open a book, and when you first open the book, there's the introductory chapter. The introductory chapter tells you what the whole book is going to be about, essentially, what problems it solves. Then it works through sequentially, each chapter building upon the last, upon the last, upon the last, upon the last, until you get to the final chapter, the summary, the conclusion, which kind of puts the whole thing to bed and makes sense of the whole thing. Okay, so FEB 2013 is essentially going to be laid out like a book. We are going to take you through, instead of it being a whole bunch of disjointed things all over the place, with random hits of information from one speaker and random hits of information from another speaker. We're going to simplify the whole process. Essentially, there are only going to be two main speakers. It's going to be myself and John Latok. We may have one or two guests come in to do short pieces, but they will only be supporting the main core material that we'll be sharing. But here's how FEB 2013 is going to be very, very different to anything you've ever been on. Each one of the presentations we give is going to be working through in book chapter format. so that we'll finish one of the chapters, you'll understand the chapter, you'll bring that chapter to life in some way. Next, we'll move on to the next chapter. We'll finish the chapter, you'll bring that chapter to life in some way. So you'll be left in absolutely no doubt by the time you get to the end of the event, essentially the end of the book, that you've read it, you've understood it, you've taken action on it, and you've got a whole bunch of actionable items that you can continue with once the event's over. Okay, so it's a very, very different format. What does this mean? It means, yes, less speakers. So, you know, a lot of events generally tend to sell themselves on the idea that they've got 50 speakers to listen to, and that's generally held as one of the kind of the key indicators that it's a great event. What we're saying, we're going in the exact opposite direction. What we're saying is the less conflicting and confusing messages that you can get, albeit from fantastic speakers, but the less of that you can get, the more of the core message you can get from 1, 2, maybe 3 speakers that are all contributors to the same story, right? And this is the big difference here, the contributors to the same story. Now, I'm essentially, you know, I work mostly as a coach, as a one-to-one coach and a holistic health coach, and I do a lot of stuff in mindset. John's main program is geared around his boot camps, but we sing from the same hymn sheet. We've got essentially largely the same story. And what this means is that be you a boot camp instructor, be you a personal trainer, or be you a kind of a semi-private personal trainer, it really doesn't matter. The story that we're going to share with you is going to dovetail really, really nicely into whatever approach you currently take with your business. And you'll go, instead of you just being followers of myself and John Latoc's material, you're going to be able to take our material and say, how does that apply to me and my business? So we're not looking at making you carbon copy clones of what we currently do. So, you know, I hope you're kind of getting the picture here that this is going to be a very, very different event. It's not going to be your average fitness marketing event. In fact, I'd like you to almost think of it as not being a marketing event at all. This is a business strategy event. You see, there's a big difference between tactics. Tactics is just the stuff that you do to make the phones ring right now. And strategy. Strategy is what you do over here. All the stuff that lays the big foundation that actually says, do you know what, this is what my business is going to be about. This is how my business is going to serve me in my life. It's how it's going to serve my clients. It's how it's going to get me everything that I want from my life. You see, most fitness professionals, they're not having their businesses serve them. They are serving their businesses. Okay, because so you leave the gym or whatever was your first fitness employment with the idea that you're going to become master of your own destiny, and what ends up happening is something very, very different. You end up becoming a slave to the business that you set up that was originally supposed to serve you. So that even if you're earning great money, you're scared to take vacations, you're scared to take any form of time off, you work all the hours God sends, and essentially you're burnt out. You're suffering from blue arsefly syndrome, running about trying to do both the work of being a fitness professional, but the work of your marketing, the work of running your staff, all the online stuff, trying to do social media, trying to do this, trying to do that, trying to do this, trying to do that. It's no wonder that so many fitness professionals get burnt out. What we're talking about here at FEB 2013 is really quite simply cutting through all that crap and getting you to the point where you understand exactly what you need to do, in what sequence, and more importantly, what you need to stop doing. All of the stuff that you can actually kick to the curb right now, that you can get rid of and make your life a lot more simple and a lot more productive. And of course, if it's getting simpler, it's getting more productive, you can be sure that you're going to be able to serve more people and serve them better, but at the same time, make a hell of a lot more money from doing that. For us, the idea isn't just monetarily, you know, becoming monetarily successful. Yes, that's an important part, but it's what the money can buy you. What FEB 2013 is about getting you back to the freedom that your fitness business was supposed to provide you. So look, I've blathered on for a bit there. I'm very well known for my mad ramblings. I've said a whole bunch of stuff. There's a whole lot more to share with you about FEB 2013, and I'll do so over the coming days. I've got more and more material just to kind of give you a little bit of a taster about the direction that we're going. But I hope this makes some sense to you, and I hope it's, you know, kind of got your appetite up just a little bit for the idea that FEB 2013 is not going to be your average event. In fact, it's going to be far from average. And one of the things that's going to set this aside from pretty much everything that you've ever seen, everything that you've ever been on in the past, and I've been on loads and loads of these events, I know exactly what the various fitness marketing gurus are saying and what they're talking about and all the rest of it. What's going to set us apart from that, and what's going to set your experience apart from that, is really quite simply that you're no longer going to be confused, you're no longer going to be frustrated, because you're going to know exactly what to do, exactly how to do it, and we're even going to get you taking some of the actions there and then at the event. So you're going to leave the event on Sunday evening with stuff having already been done. And that's, you know, that in itself, I believe, will actually make it worth the cost of the investment of coming into that event. Okay, but like I said, I'm going to come back in a few days with a bunch of other stuff for you. Until then, thank you very much for listening to me, and we'll speak soon.